Not for your kids, not for your grandkids, but purely for your own joy. If that question made you pause, you're not alone. So many parents, especially mothers and grandmothers, spend decades putting everyone else first. Meals on the table, babysitting, paying bills, caring for adult children. No complaints, just quiet sacrifice. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't have to disappear to prove your love. After 60, your time is just as precious. Yet, so many older adults fall into the trap of believing their only worth lies in what they can still do for others. Slowly, they give up hobbies, friendships, health checkups, even rest. Until one day, they look in the mirror and hardly recognize the person staring back. You've spent a lifetime giving love, but who's loving you? This isn't about guilt, it's about permission. Permission to matter, permission to rest. Permission to say, I've done enough, and now it's my time too. Because here's the truth. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. If you've ever felt like you've lost pieces of yourself while giving endlessly to your children, this is for you. Today, we're going to have an honest conversation about why it's okay, essential even, to stop sacrificing everything after 60, and how doing so can actually bring more love, more peace, and more balance back into your life and family. You'll discover 7 powerful reasons why continuing to give too much of your time, money, energy, or health can silently damage both your well-being and your relationships. More importantly, I'll show you how setting boundaries, prioritizing yourself, and reclaiming joy can lead to a life that feels fulfilling again, even if it's been a long time since you've put yourself first. This isn't about blaming your kids. It's about reshaping the story from silent sacrifice to healthy, joyful aging. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's embark on a journey to rediscover the joy of you. Let's walk through this together. And if this message resonates with you, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. I share heartfelt, helpful advice every week because growing older shouldn't mean growing invisible. Now let's begin with the first reason why giving too much can actually hurt more than help. The first reason to stop sacrificing everything after 60 is because your children need your wisdom, not your suffering. Somewhere along the journey of parenthood, many older adults start to believe that the more they give up, the more loving they are. But in reality, what your children benefit from the most isn't your exhaustion. It's your example, how you live, how you care for yourself, how you continue to grow, even as you age. Take Linda, a 69-year-old mother of 3 from Ohio. For most of her adult life, she had been the caretaker of everyone around her. She worked full-time, cooked every holiday meal, helped raise her grandchildren, and even lent money to her children when they were struggling financially. She believed it was her job as a mother to always be available, to always say yes. But over time, Linda began to feel invisible. Her joints ached from years of neglecting her own health. Her youngest son rarely called unless he needed something. Her daughter had come to expect Linda's help with the kids without ever asking if she was okay. One evening, Linda sat alone in her kitchen, staring at a cold cup of tea, and realized she hadn't had a conversation about her own dreams or needs in over a decade. Researchers in family psychology often observe this pattern among aging parents. It's called role entrenchment, the idea that some parents, especially mothers, become so deeply attached to their caregiving identity that they lose sight of who they are outside that role. The problem is, as parents continue to give without replenishment, they slowly fade from their own lives. They trade joy for obligation, hobbies for chores, and health for caregiving. But here's the truth. Your children need you to be more than just a caretaker. They need to see you thriving, finding joy, and nurturing yourself. That's the best way to show them how to live fully and well, no matter their age. By taking care of yourself, you teach them the importance of balance, the value of self-care, and the necessity of preserving one's own identity, something that no amount of self-sacrifice can provide. So let's stop the pattern of giving until there's nothing left. It's time to reclaim your life, your health, and your happiness. For convenience, and while their intentions come from love, the result can be emotional fatigue, resentment, or even depression. Worse, children can start to see this pattern as normal, unknowingly repeating it or relying on it in ways that are unhealthy. The solution isn't to stop caring. it's to care differently. Linda made the choice to make a change. She sat down with her children and shared how she was feeling, not as a complaint, but as a reflection. She told them she missed painting, that she wanted to go back to church regularly, and that she needed time to focus on her health. Her children were surprised but supportive. They realized they had taken her presence for granted, and they encouraged her to start doing things for herself. Now, Linda paints every Wednesday, joined a walking group on weekends, and even signed up for a trip to visit the Grand Canyon, something she had quietly dreamed about for years. Your children don't need you to sacrifice your life to prove your love. They need to see what healthy, vibrant aging looks like. They need your wisdom, your laughter, your stories, not your silence or self-neglect. And by living well, you give them permission to do the same when their time comes. Now let's look at what happens when we give too much for too long, how it can lead to hidden resentment that quietly damages even the closest relationships. The second reason to stop sacrificing everything after 60 is because constantly giving without boundaries can quietly create resentment on both sides. What starts as love can, over time, become an invisible weight between you and your children, slowly eroding the connection you've worked so hard to build. Margaret, a 68-year-old retired nurse from Indiana, spent years babysitting her grandkids 5 days a week. At first, she loved every minute. Snacks in the park, afternoon naps with the little ones, the feeling of being needed. But as time passed, her knees began to ache, and she stopped taking time for herself. Go through the motions of life, always putting others first. You are not here to lose yourself in the role of caregiver, to silently bear the weight of expectations without ever asking for a moment of rest. Margaret's story shows us that setting boundaries doesn't weaken relationships, it strengthens them. It's when we sacrifice too much, when we give endlessly without replenishment, that we start to lose ourselves. We start to feel unseen, unappreciated, and exhausted. But when we learn to help from a place of strength, when we take time for ourselves, we become better versions of who we are. And that makes us better for everyone around us. Margaret's daughter was surprised at first, but she respected her mother's needs, and that respect transformed their relationship. The emotional tension lifted, and their bond grew even stronger. The truth is, boundaries aren't walls that shut others out. They are bridges that allow us to nurture ourselves so we can continue to nurture others without losing who we are in the process. If you've ever felt tired but were afraid to say no, or if you quietly wished someone would just notice your needs without you having to ask, this message is for you. You deserve more than to be just a caretaker. You deserve joy, rest, and time for the things that fill you up, not just for the things that drain you. You are not here only to give. You are here to live, to thrive, and to show those you love what healthy, vibrant aging looks like. And in doing so, you teach them how to love themselves too. So let's stop giving endlessly without replenishment. Let's start saying yes to ourselves without guilt, and let's make the rest of our years the best ones yet. For them, but to show up for yourself too. Your time, energy, and spirit are valuable, and they deserve space to breathe. Now let's dive into the second reason why putting yourself last can hurt your long-term health more than help your family. The third reason to stop sacrificing everything after 60 is rooted in a simple but powerful truth. Your children will live their lives with or without your constant involvement, and you deserve to live yours. Too many older adults quietly postpone their own dreams, interests, and adventures, believing their primary role is still to support their children. But what happens when the kids don't need or want that support anymore? What's left for you? Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 74-year-old widow from Pennsylvania. For decades, she devoted her life to raising 3 children, helping them through college and even moving closer to her youngest when he started a family. She imagined spending her golden years with her grandkids, sharing Sunday dinners and staying closely involved. But life had other plans. Her son was busy building his career. The grandkids were enrolled in multiple activities. Weekends often came and went without a call. Eleanor didn't blame them. They were busy, just like she used to be. But deep down, she felt forgotten. She spent her days in quiet routine, watering plants, watching TV, waiting for someone to need her. Until one day a friend invited her to a community painting class. "I haven't picked up a brush in 40 years, she said, laughing nervously. But she went. Then she went again. Slowly, her week filled with color, laughter, and something she hadn't felt in years: purpose. Many older adults believe their value lies only in their usefulness to others. It's an identity shaped by years of parenting, providing, and solving everyone else's problems. But after a certain point, that mindset becomes a cage. The truth is, your children want you to be happy. They want to see you smile again, not just show up for them, but show up for yourself too. When you focus on your own passions, your own joys, and your own purpose, you don't just enrich your life, you inspire them to do the same. So it's time to stop waiting for others to need you. It's time to start living your life for you. Your children will continue to live their lives, and you deserve to live yours fully and joyfully. It's easy to fall into the trap of constantly saying yes to everything and everyone, especially when it feels like you're doing so out of love or obligation. But the truth is, by not setting boundaries, you're not only compromising your own well-being, you're also risking the very relationships you're trying to nurture. When you sacrifice your own happiness and health for others, you inadvertently become less present for them. You may start resenting the things you once enjoyed, like spending time with family or pursuing hobbies, and before long, the energy you used to bring to those connections starts to fade. Carol's transformation is a powerful example of how small changes can have a big impact. By recognizing that she wasn't responsible for everyone's happiness, Carol gave herself permission to take care of her own needs. She stopped seeing self-care as selfish and started seeing it as an essential part of being able to show up for her loved ones in a meaningful way. Setting boundaries allowed her to rediscover parts of herself that had been lost in the shuffle, things that brought her joy, peace, and fulfillment. The idea of self-care often gets a bad rap, as if it's some sort of indulgence. But real self-care is not about treating yourself to spa days or expensive dinners. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your joy. It's about making sure that you're in a place where you can give your best to others, not out of depletion, but out of a place of health, vitality, and love. For anyone who feels they've been giving too much at the expense of themselves, Carol's story is a reminder. It's okay to say no. It's okay to take a step back and prioritize your own well-being. In fact, it's necessary, because when you start taking care of yourself, you'll find that you're able to show up for others in ways that are more meaningful, more joyful, and more sustainable. So ask yourself, what boundaries do you need to set in order to be your best self? What are the things that bring you joy and peace, and how can you make time for them? You deserve to thrive, not just survive. Remember, by taking care of yourself, you're not only improving your life, you're enriching the lives of those around you. Absolutely. Your body, mind, and spirit communicate with you every single day, and it's so easy to overlook those signals when you're caught up in constantly putting others first. You might push through the aches and fatigue, thinking you'll rest later or that it's just a phase. But over time, those small signals can turn into bigger issues: burnout, chronic stress, anxiety, even depression. The things you ignore today could become the health concerns you're dealing with tomorrow. Carol's journey is such an empowering example of how we can break free from this cycle. Love doesn't require self-sacrifice to the point where we lose ourselves. In fact, it's only when we nourish ourselves that we have the energy and vitality to truly love others. When you prioritize your own well-being, you don't just feel better, you become more present, more engaged, and more able to give in ways that are genuine and fulfilling. It's a tough lesson to learn, especially for those who have been conditioned to be the caretaker, the nurturer, or the one who always says yes. But the truth is, you're allowed to put yourself first. Saying no isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's how you reclaim your joy, your energy, and your sense of self. It's how you make space for the things that truly matter to you, and it's how you protect your ability to show up for others in a healthy, sustainable way. If you've been feeling unseen, exhausted, or disconnected from yourself, it's okay to pause and take a step back. You are worthy of your own love and care. You deserve to feel heard, to feel seen, and to prioritize your own needs. Because when you do that, you're not only taking care of yourself, you're also allowing the best parts of you to shine, both for you and for those you love. And I'll be able to recover. But as the requests continued, so did his financial strain. Harold thought he was doing the right thing, helping his children in their times of need. But slowly, his own security was slipping away. His peace of mind was replaced with worry, and his retirement dreams were put on hold. Harold realized that, in trying to be a good father and grandfather, he was risking his own financial future, and more importantly, his dignity. This is a common pattern among older adults. The fear of letting loved ones down, coupled with the deep desire to help, often leads to financial overextension. And while giving out of love is natural, doing so at the cost of your own security can lead to stress, regret, and a loss of control over your later years. Financial independence isn't just about money, it's about protecting your dignity and your ability to live freely and comfortably in your later years. When you overgive financially, you not only jeopardize your own security, but you may also feel a sense of loss of control over your own life. Harold's turning point came when he realized he could no longer afford to keep rescuing his children. He sat down with them and explained the reality of his situation. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was necessary. He told them that while he would always love and support them, he needed to protect his own future too. Happier. Researchers often refer to this as the joyful aging effect. When you prioritize your own happiness and well-being, it doesn't just improve your life, it positively impacts everyone around you. Joyce's story shows how nurturing your own joy, health, and independence isn't selfish at all. It's the greatest gift you can give to your loved ones. For most of her life, Joyce had given everything she had to her family. After losing her husband in her early 50s, she became the backbone of her family, supporting her 2 sons and their families. She cooked, cleaned, babysat, and stayed available at all times, often dropping her own plans if someone needed her. But behind that dependable smile was a woman who missed reading for pleasure, who hadn't seen the ocean in over a decade, and who quietly cried at night, wondering what her life was about. One spring, Joyce's sister invited her on a weekend retreat to the coast. At first, Joyce declined, worried her sons would need her, but her sister insisted, "You've taken care of everyone. Let me take care of you for once." Finally, Joyce agreed, and that trip changed everything. Walking along the beach, sharing laughter, and simply waking up with no demands rekindled something inside her. She realized how long it had been since she'd done something just for joy. When she returned home, she felt lighter, more present, and her sons noticed. "You look different," Mom once said, happier. Researchers often refer to this phenomenon as the joyful aging effect. When you take the time to invest in your own happiness and well-being, you not only enrich your own life, but you lift the emotional climate of your entire family. Your energy, your mood, and your vitality directly affect those around you. And when you take care of yourself, you give your family the opportunity to see you at your best, which allows them to show up more fully in their own lives as well. Taking time for yourself doesn't take away from your family, it enhances your relationship with them. By living a life that is fulfilling and joyful, you set an example of healthy aging, showing your loved ones that self-care is not selfish, but necessary. The 7th reason to stop sacrificing everything after 60 is simple. When you take care of yourself, everyone benefits. You become a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant version of yourself. And in doing so, you create a ripple effect of positivity, joy, and well-being that extends to everyone you love. So, if you've been putting yourself last, remember this: your happiness, health, and sense of purpose are essential not just for you, but for those around you. When you invest in yourself, you're giving the best gift of all, the gift of a joyful, balanced, and fulfilled life. And that's something everyone will benefit from. This is such a powerful and uplifting message. The well-being ripple effect is a beautiful way to express how taking care of ourselves doesn't just benefit us, it uplifts everyone around us. By embracing self-care and living with curiosity, joy, and balance, we create a space where others are encouraged to do the same. Our joy becomes contagious, spreading positivity and connection within our families. The truth that self-care is not selfish, but a gift that keeps giving resonates deeply. Joyce's story is a perfect example of how embracing our own joy and passions can not only restore our own vitality, but also inspire and strengthen our relationships with loved ones. The encouragement to start focusing on yourself without guilt and to embrace the freedom and dignity you've earned is incredibly empowering. The reminder that saying no doesn't make you a bad parent, but a wise one, is so important for anyone who's struggled with overgiving. The call to action at the end, to start making small changes, to take gentle steps toward living a life that truly belongs to you, is inspiring. It's a reminder that we're not stuck and that we still have the power to write our own stories filled with peace, joy, and authenticity. If this message resonates with you, it would be wonderful to hear what one thing you're going to start doing for yourself, starting today. Your journey and experiences can inspire others more than you know. And remember, you're not alone. Your voice still matters, and it's time for it to be heard. Keep living with heart, purpose, and joy.